your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100+ globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100+ global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500+ multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering empowered professionals with confidence. We partner with 100+ authorized training partners and 50+ universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000+ members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100+ globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100+ global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500+ multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100+ authorized training partners and 50+ universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000+ members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100-plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100-plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500-plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100-plus authorized training partners and 50-plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000-plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100-plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100-plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500-plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100-plus authorized training partners and 50-plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000-plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100 plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100 plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500 plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100 plus authorized training partners and 50 plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000 plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices.
Hello everyone, we'll be starting a session now. Please allow me to share my screen. Here we go. I hope my screen is visible to you all, and thank you everyone for joining today's session, and I welcome you all to GSDC Certified Learning, Solving Learning Effectiveness Challenges in Instructional Design, with a theme that is Design Smarter, Teach Better, Unlock the Secret to High Impact Learning. My name is Preetham. I'm going to be your host for this session. If you need any assistance during this session, you can reach out to the chat box and it will be taken care by me. So we do have this amazing panel of speaker aligned for this entire webinar series, which is scheduled from 6th October till 10th October 2025, with the time slot that is 10:30 a.m. Central, 11:30 p.m. Singapore time. So please do join us for the remaining sessions as well. And today we'll be having Tom McDowell with us, and he'll be taking us through the topic that is measuring learning effectiveness, tools, and techniques. So before he could start with his session, I would like to introduce our hosting organization, GSDC. We known as Global Skill Development Council. We are vendor agnostic, vendor neutral, and we are globally recognized certification body, and we are accredited by NSI and APICB. We do have 100 plus certification portfolio with us, and we have certified more than 250,000 professionals across the world, and we have 500 SMEs. Those are subject matter experts. They work with us closely to design our deliverables, and we are associated with 1,000 multinational corporates and 500 Fortune companies and 50 plus universities across the globe. And I'm very proud to inform you all that we do have 100 plus authorized training partner across the globe. We have partner in Asia, Africa, Canada, America, and many other countries. So I would like to thank you, those who have joined us through our training partner channel. In case if you're looking for any training program for yourself, I will be sharing the link in the chat box. You can reach out to a training partner to have an inquiry about the same. A special thanks to our official media partner, World Press Hub, for covering all our events and press releases. So as I mentioned earlier in my previous slide that we have 100 plus certification portfolio, which includes certification on emerging technologies, agile DevOps, quality and compliance, learning and development, digital transformation, and so on. In case if you're looking for any of this certification in order to upskill yourself, you can definitely reach out to a learning advisor, or you can check our website that is www.gsdcouncil.org to get more information and to check all the offerings that GSDC has for all of you. So what benefits you will be getting with this certification? You will become GSDC's member for a lifelong. With that, you'll be getting certificate upgrade and you'll be having free access to all our events, workshop, boot camps. And guess what? You'll be having free access to all our exclusive learning program that we have. Along with it, you'll be getting implementation resources, speaker invites, and newsletter. So do grab this opportunity and do sign up yourself for this certification program. So without any further delay, I would like to tell more about Tom. So he is an advocate for evidence-informed practice and experiment lead design founder of Evolved Learning and Development. Sandimo and the host of the Instructional Design Tips YouTube channel and Substack, as well as the IDTX and evidence-informed practice conferences. So we are delighted to have you, Tom, with us today for this session. Thank you very much for joining. You can have the handover of the virtual speaker now. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I want to kick us off by asking a question. There's going to be a lot of this, so get into the chat now. I want to start by asking what it is that you measure in your organization today. What do you actually measure as a learning and development professional today? And then, what does that measurement tell you? What do you measure and what does it tell you? I've asked that to kick us off because in my line of work, I work with a lot of organizations. And one of the things we work on is measurement, metrics, proof of value. And we do that through a sort of an evidence-informed practice approach. So no, thank you. Knowledge, either their knowledge increases after whether or not their knowledge increases. ROI, interesting. We're going to talk a lot about ROI in this session. Thank you for sharing that. ROTI, yep. We're going to talk about that. Fantastic. Thank you for jumping in and sharing. Now, that's working. There we go. 9 times out of 10, we are very, very good in our line of work in L&D at measuring, reporting, and talking about activity. And we're not great at talking about impact. And I deliberately use the word impact because I think we often misuse phrases like return on investment. Largely because drawing a direct line from training to any kind of financial outcome is obviously phenomenal, fantastic, exciting, but usually not particularly accurate because those things are not directly connected. It's very difficult to draw that line. And so I firmly believe, and I believe I am supported in saying that we should be talking about impact and not necessarily return on investment in its truest sense. I'm aware we tend to use return on investment very broadly. In fact, return on investment is one very specific formula, which is about money, and I don't think it's the right thing for L&D to be kind of hanging its hat on. We're also very good at measuring and reporting on learning, on knowledge transfer, on whether or not people know things. But I have yet to work in a business where people knowing things is actually considered valuable. The ability to do things is what counts in the modern workplace, and that is becoming increasingly true as the inherent value of memorized knowledge continues to decrease. And then we go back to the start of my question. I said, what do we measure? And there's an inherent question in what we measure, which is how we measure it. Is it self-reported? Is it surveys? Is it inherently inaccurate? Does it inherently contain biases beyond our own control to remove? Or are we measuring through observation and reporting the reality of the world as it is post-intervention? Now, it's very easy, especially at the start of a talk, to say, we're doing everything wrong and we should be doing this. And that's absolutely not where we're at. There's great work being done in terms of the effective measurement and reporting of our efforts in L&D across many, many organizations. But there are also many teams who, for a various sort of list of reasons that we'll look at today, may not be getting as much done as they should be in terms of what they're measuring, how they're measuring it, and what value that brings to them and their organization. So I've mentioned evidence-informed practice a few times already, and this really is the lens through which I operate, whether this is training design, whether this is measurement and metrics, whether this is engaging with stakeholders. This underpins everything I'm going to talk about today. So the idea behind evidence-informed practice is that we are never, ever led by a single thing. We always combine three forms of input. And these three forms can be broadly categorized as data and research. Now, this can be internal company data, as well as broader industry research, best practices, whether that's academic studies into the field of attention and cognitive psychology, or whether that's internal data around absence and attendance and performance and other such things. To that data, that research, that academic understanding of the world, if you will, we bring our professional knowledge, what I call our multi-environmental knowledge and experience, the sum total of everything we have learned across our career. All the things we deployed based on the evidence that didn't work and that we now understand better. All the things that we deployed that weren't backed by evidence but that did work and then we figured out why later on. All of that professional knowledge we bring. And then the third leg of this metaphorical stool, if you will, are user inputs. Our stakeholders, our end users, the wider organization, their experiences, their opinions, their inputs. All three of those are wildly different. And to act only based on any one or any two of them is dangerous. But it is so often how our industry has done things. So often we say, hey, I'm the expert, I'm the SME when it comes to learning. I need to better understand my user. I need to be user-centric. It needs to be human-centered. That's what I'm going to do, ignoring the data and the research. Or we are incredibly academic in our approach. We have an incredible knowledge base personally. We look at the data, we look at the research, we design what on paper is the perfect solution, and then we fail to acknowledge the fact that users inherently change the context in which we deploy interventions. So evidence-informed practice is not specific to measurement, but without it, good measurement is almost impossible because all good measurement practices should be evidence-informed. All good measurement, all good reporting is inherently going to be based on our understanding, the academic, the data, the research understanding of statistics. It's going to be based on our professional knowledge, the context of the workplace, the context of how we deployed this. And it's going to be based on user inputs, the work they do, but also their explanation of what they're doing. So this really will be overarching to everything we discussed today. You will notice that I use the word informed and not driven. Driven is a really dangerous term. We've probably all been told at some point that we need to be data-driven, that we need a technology-driven solution. Being driven by any external factor is inherently risky. It places an unnecessary and, I think, unjustified additional weight on one particular element of the three we just discussed. If I'm data-driven, then I'm inherently going to focus more on what the data tells me rather than my professional knowledge and rather than user inputs. So instead, I always prefer to use the term informed. The language we use matters. It's not a difference with no impact. It's incredibly important. One, it reinforces our own sense of how we operate. And two, when we're talking about reporting and measurement and value, we need to be able to clearly articulate to our colleagues and to our organization how we work, why we work in that way, and why they should adopt similar or aligned working practices. So the language we use, yes, in this, but also in all our measurement, all our reporting, is incredibly important. So in this session then, we're going to talk a little bit about evidence-informed principles when it comes to measurement, when it comes to proving our value to the organization. But we're also going to look at some really practical steps, things that we should all be aware of and doing in our practice. And on that basis, I really don't just want to deliver the planned session. I don't want to go through my slides, say the things I'm going to say, and then say, so any questions at the end? We've probably all experienced that a lot. So instead, I want you to be in the chat. I want to know what questions you've got. What challenges do you face when measuring your impact as an L&D professional in your organization? What's the blocker to you doing this really well? What's never quite worked for you? Because that is what I want us to spend time on in today's session. Not what I think is important, but what is going to help you most. And whilst you're doing that, I'll just cover my next point. Whenever we talk about measurement metrics, one model kind of tends to come to mind, and that's going to be the Kirkpatrick model. It was a wonderful place for the industry to start in the 1950s when it was first put together, but it is time to move on. It is no longer, to my mind, fit for purpose. Certainly, I would never advise or set up a team around it in 2025. The biggest challenge is that ultimately it just combines too much stuff into singular steps. It fails to acknowledge the gap between learning, performance, and workplace impact. These things cannot and should not be considered within the same kind of analysis. And instead, I strongly recommend LTEM, or the Learning Transfer Evaluation Model. Most notably, this literally got an update last year in 2024. It was put together through an incredibly rigorous process by Dr. Will Thalheimer. Many of you may already be familiar with him. And probably most importantly, he's made all of that available for free. It's not behind a paywall. If you go over to his website, worklearning.com/LTEM, LTEM, everything you need to learn about and adopt the learning transfer evaluation model is right there available for download. You can even book time with him to discuss it. So what is it that makes LTEM different? Well, it moves us away from this sense of working up a pyramid or any kind of grid. It also provides a separation between the idea of someone attending training, someone developing knowledge, someone developing the ability to make decisions, someone developing the ability to go from decision to task completion. So that not only do they in theory know the stuff and in theory know how to do the job, but can actually do the job. And then it entirely separates the concept of transfer and the effects of transfer from the learning to the organization, or from learning to work. LTEM provides a much stronger, robust scaffolding for us to assess our effectiveness against. It also gets regular and meaningful updates. Now, I appreciate it is not always difficult. It's not always easy to, let me drop a link to you in the chat because I can see someone asking already. There we are. It's not always easy to change an underpinning framework. I appreciate that. You can't walk into your place of work tomorrow and go, throw that away. Tom said we need to use LTEM, so we're changing everything. That's not how the real world works. However, an awareness of better ways to operate allows us to start looking at why. Why do we work in the way that we do? Why have we not adopted this as it's moved forward? And how can we not go from where we are today to fully adopting this new way of working tomorrow, but how can we take the first step towards improving our practice? How can we adopt the smallest component of this into our current ways of working tomorrow, and then the next piece next week, and so on and so on and so on? Sustainable change is far better than trying to make an explosive change in your organization tomorrow based on anything you hear today. So really great questions actually just come in from Leah. I'm going to have a go at every name that comes in, but I apologize in advance if I mispronounce any. So how can we measure the impact of leadership development coaching programs when the programs themselves resist linking to outcomes of operational performance, especially since performance is influenced by many factors beyond just coaching or leadership training? I am so phenomenally pleased that you have brought up that fact. When I said at the start that it's very difficult to draw that line from our activity to, and then this happened, this is exactly why. Anyone who says this performance here is because of me, the trainer, because of the training I created, or because of my team's work, I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. There is no workplace in the world where L&D initiatives are the only variable between two measurements of performance. There's not a single one. Different customers, different day of the week, different time of year, different product, different mood, different lighting, different equipment maybe, different economic space. The last 6 months here in the UK have been awful for many small businesses, and many of them have engaged in training and done lots of things, but the simple fact is, if the economy slows down, that has a much bigger impact, on performance than anything training can realistically do. What we need to look for, and we'll talk about this in some detail later on, is correlative change. We are not and should not be pursuing and claiming causal links, that we were the direct and sole cause of change in the organization. It would be lovely. I would love to say, here's how to do it, and it's possible. I don't believe it is. After more than a decade of looking for it, I have yet to find a single example that stands up to any level of scrutiny. People do make the claim, but I've never seen it stand up to scrutiny. So on that note, in fact, let's skip ahead a little bit, because I think that is worth diving into. We will come back to this. Correlation versus causation. Just to make sure we are all on the same page, if you are confident and comfortable with definitions for correlation and causation, just put 1 in the chat. If you are uncertain, hit 2, and just send that over. 1, brilliant. 2, cool. Brilliant. So regardless of your responses, I'm going to provide some definitions anyway, but it's really good to know where we're at. And I really want to stress this as well, that if you're sat there thinking, oh, I'm a 2, should I be a 1? My answer is twofold. My answer is yes, everyone on the planet should have an awareness of these two things. But there's a very good reason we don't, which is that very rarely do people get told this. I've discovered this because I learned it at school, and therefore for a long time assumed everyone knew this, that it was foundational knowledge. And that was a huge mistake. Because again, over the last decade, I have discovered that basic statistics are not a commonplace feature in education around the world. And I think probably most surprisingly, they are not considered foundationally important as an L&D skill set. And yet, we are asked to measure the effectiveness of incredibly complex interventions that involve human beings. The minute something is like, oh yeah, there's a couple of thousand people involved, There is no way to meaningfully measure change amongst a large group of human beings who are just like change machines. Every time we do something, we do it slightly differently. Even if we think we've done it the same, there'll be a small difference. And across thousands of people, all those small differences, they add up. How do we measure them? We have to be able to work statistically. We cannot work in absolute numbers. So, correlation and causation. Causation is kind of exactly what it sounds like. One thing happened and it caused this other thing to happen. It's definite. It is a provable link that says, I trained these people, and because of that training, they did this, this, and this over the next 3 months or whatever. The classic one is, we did this training and they sold £10,000 a week more because of the training. Was it because of the training, though? How do we prove that? It's a great claim. It's an exciting claim. But how do we prove it? The simple fact is that we can't. Causal links are incredibly difficult to prove because you require an absolutely controlled environment. For that to be true, you would have to demonstrate factually that nothing else in the world had any impact on those sales figures changing after that training. That sounds like a big ask to me. Again, I would love to see it, but I never have. Correlation, however, is the idea that two things changed at the same time or in relation to each other. So we can see and measure and prove a link, but we do not claim that it is the only thing impacting a change in a variable. So, as an example, sorry, one moment. As an example, we might say, we delivered this training, sales increased by £10,000 a week, and we can prove that there is a strong correlation between these two things, and we can put a number on that. We can say that this has what we call an R value. An R value allows us to say how strong or how certain we are of that correlation. And it ranges from +1 to -1. 0 means no correlation at all, i.e. we did this, it appears to have had no meaningful relation to anything going on here, something else is moving performance around. +1, like a full 1.0, would mean that for every bit of training we do, we see exactly this improvement in sales. And it's like a 1-for-1 improvement. -1 would mean for every bit of training we deliver, they get X amount worse at delivering. We don't want that, obviously, but that's what negative correlation is. And then we have decimal points in between those to indicate, maybe we're 0.3. So there seems to be correlation, but we're less certain. Now, the easiest way to calculate this is using the Excel formula that I have put on the screen, because doing it manually requires a lot of work. Sorry about that, it's rather dry in here today. The idea behind this Excel formula is that you get your two columns of data, your training data, your performance data, whatever it might be that you're trying to find the correlation between. And then you run a formula like that, and it identifies whether or not there's a correlation, whether or not the dates that you trained on correlate to the performance improvements, whether or not they extend and scale. So correlation, a connection, but not causal. Causation, nothing. Apps. Is the screen supposed to change? No, you should just be saying a big orange screen with correlation versus causation in the Excel formula there. I've not working with data during this session for fairly obvious reasons. I'm not going to take some client data and put it on screen. But the idea here is that correlation is a link between that we can measure the strength of. Causation is absolute. I would suggest to you we can never work in causation, and we should never claim causation, because you might get away with it once, but sooner or later someone's going to go, cool, can you prove that? And then you're going to be a bit stuck because, well, what else could it be is not a very good argument. So what I do have is a link to a fantastic source. If you would like to learn more about calculating correlation, let me drop that into the chat for you, because I am not a maths teacher by trade. But correlation, basically, is the answer to your question, Leah. You're going to need to look at all the performance data of these people who go through coaching, and you're going to need to look at the inputs of the coaching, and you're going to need to try and identify if there is a relationship between this coaching being delivered and performance improving. And you're going to be looking for correlations as opposed to straight causation lines. Now, this is true for that coaching scenario that Leah introduced to us, but it is also true of every other form of training. Now, this is where we have to get quite comfortable as an industry with the idea of data analysis and statistics. The biggest reason for this is that when people talk about, what the future of our industry looks like, we talk about where technology is going to come in, where technology can help us. Technology is only useful if we understand where and when and how to deploy it. All technology operates at a scale far beyond our ability to work out in our heads, so we need to think about it statistically. And that means understanding things like correlation and causation. Once you've got your heads around that, it is worth looking into things like regression analysis, which I won't go into in today's session because it requires a bit more groundwork. But the basic idea of regression analysis is the ability to identify unknowns that might be impacting a variable. So if the variable is sales figures, just to stick with the same example, you might then pull out all the data you've got in the business around absence and attendance and the day of the week and the weather and the time of the year and the economic situation and all these other data points that your business will be capturing, and then run a regression analysis on them to go, oh, actually, we can see here that whilst we're delivering training and doing all this, the single biggest impact on performance figures actually seems to be the day of the week. I've certainly had that before. Now, that isn't good news for us, but it is news. And it's important for us to hear it because it tells us, hey, all that effort you're putting into all this training, it's not doing anything. And that is the uncomfortable reality of a lot of measurement that I do with organizations right now. We come in and we look at the actual data, raw performance numbers over time, and training isn't doing anything. Interestingly, we then look back at things like surveys, and everyone says the training was fantastic and I've learned so much. And you get that classic question, what will you put into practice? And they give you this amazing list of what they're going to do. And then you say, cool, so have we observed them doing that in the workplace? Well, no, but they told us they were going to do it. If anyone here has children, you'll understand the difference between someone telling you they're going to do something and actually doing it. It's the same for employees. It never stops being true. It's not a lie. They have every intention of doing what they say they're going to do. And this is why measurement does not just come at the end. Measurement belongs in every stage of what we do. And when I talk about the stages of what we do, I broadly think of it in terms of 3 stages. Diagnosis, defining the problem. When someone brings something to me, or when someone brings something to you, rather, a request for training, where do you start? What's the first thing you try and define? Let me know in the chat. Anyone? So some examples that people have brought to me before. So when someone brings you a request for training, where do you start? What's the first thing you try and find out? Gap? Is it knowledge or skills? Needs analysis? Learning objectives? The purpose? The current training situation? Needs? What is the challenge? Absolutely. So all these things are kind of the standard thing. So the first thing I always do is go, cool, prove it. Bring me the data that proves there is a problem here. Because if someone is requesting training, love that last question, is training actually necessary? What is it they want to solve? That's exactly it. But don't just take their word for it. Oh, the team's really underperforming. It's, I don't know why. Cool. Give me the numbers. Prove to me that they are underperforming. The number of times we have asked for that, people have brought us the numbers and we've gone, these numbers are in line with the rest of the business. What do you mean they're underperforming? Oh, well, they were performing higher. Were they? We go back. No, they weren't. What's actually changed is the manager's perception of what the team is doing because of a workflow change or a systems change. And yet we say it must be validated, but how often is it valid? If we're really honest, you don't have to share this. How often do we have absolute proof of the problem before we get started? Because certainly I have found increasingly over the last few years, a lot of training gets created on an assumed problem. Sales figures are down, therefore the sales team need to sell more. That's not fantastic logic. It might be true. Sales figures are down, so the problem must be with the sales team. Is the problem with product manufacturing? Is the problem with the product itself? Is the problem the macroeconomic situation? Is the problem marketing? Very often, we assume the details of a problem. And that's not always a bad thing. Because I realize it's very easy at these kind of events to go, challenge the business, stand up, ask for proof. And then when we go to work, realistically, come on. If our boss tells us you will do this, do we quit? Do we walk out because they're not doing it the right way? No, the vast majority of us need to keep our jobs. So we do what we're expected to do. But again, smallest possible step forward, like I mentioned around Kirkpatrick and LTEM, consider what little improvement you could make. I can absolutely do that for you, just so I can do it really well. Have you got the data behind that? So that I can understand better. Maybe build up to demanding proof ahead of time, setting that expectation, and instead, turn it into a clarifying conversation. A little bit easier to get that data conversation flowing. Sorry, just to quickly go back in to mention about Kirkpatrick, missed a little on that. So yeah, the Kirkpatrick model basically I find to be ineffective as a framework for proving value. It amalgamates too many things into individual steps. It oversimplifies the link between learning transfer and how that moves into decisions, task, and eventually performance and eventually value to the organization. LTEM, I believe, does a much better job of splitting that out and providing you a robust framework for reporting to the organization. But I would add to that the caveat of I would always say, back to evidence-informed practice, you should engage with the research around LTEM. You should engage with your users and your stakeholders, and you should engage with your own professional knowledge, and then form your decision on how you want to move forwards. I would present LTEM as a big improvement over Kirkpatrick. Not everyone agrees with me, and that's okay. The important thing is that we're doing good work that we can prove is good work, and not necessarily we are all working in exactly the same way. Just want to check this last one. Yeah, brilliant. So there are times when people need training, but they're actually just avoiding work or making careless errors. Absolutely. And again, I think we tend to lean that way. There are also times when managers just don't understand what's going on in their business. There are plenty of times, and for discussions around that, I would strongly recommend, if anyone fancies a really, really good read, Human Competence by Thomas Gilbert. I would sort of suggest that Thomas Gilbert really is or should be the foundation of all L&D practice. It is a laser focus on performance. It is a laser focus on saying, yes, behaviors are important, but behaviors only matter when they convert to meaningful work that holds value for the organization. It's not specifically about measurement, but based on that conversation there, it's be well worth reading Human Competence by Thomas Gilbert. There are loads of secondhand copies available. I'm not sure if it's currently actually in print anywhere. It is an older book, but it is well worth your time. That was diagnosis. So sorry, we got a little bit wrapped up in diagnosis there. But the other two parts of the life cycle you're probably very, very familiar with, the design and creation of content. We often don't think of when we're coming up with what the solution should be, and whether it's a workshop or an e-learning or a coaching program or a mentoring system, whatever it might be, we don't think of that as being as a time to measure and gather data, but it really, really is. In fact, it's a time when we can be gathering data that really helps us prove the strength of any correlation we prove later on. And by this, I mean we don't design in secret, we design in public. We get constant user and stakeholder input, and not just, hey, could you review this and let me know what you think? But systematic, structured experimentation. I define this as experiment-led design. What it really is data-informed design. It means A/B testing different approaches to a solution. And that could be the entire approach, or that could be one small element of it. It means having what we call conversational funnels, talking through a solution and seeing where you go from engaged to disengaged, or having an effective impact and no longer having an effective impact. It means engaging with users in the form of structured feedback over time and panel discussions and control groups. Conducting experiments during the design, the creation of your solution, whatever it might be, is a great way to back up the decisions that you have made in terms of their value. And when you get round to proving the strength of the correlation, as we discussed earlier, that data can all be used to figure out exactly what's working and why. Finally, when you do get round to the review stage, where we always talk about measurement, make sure we're measuring the right things. Now, I very much do not care if people enjoy training. I've got to be honest. That is a metric that I simply do not find valuable. The same with NPS. When I'm working in an in-house workplace environment, people's enjoyment of the training experience is not what I'm there for. It's not what the organization cares about. And actually, for the vast majority of people, they don't go to work for fun. Most people go to work, as I'm sure most of us probably do, in order to get money to do the things we really love. Now, I, and hopefully you, are lucky to love what we do for a living, but that's not everyone. In fact, it's an incredibly small minority of people that get to do something they love every single day for work. Even then, some days when I have to build a piece of e-learning, I'm not in love with that process, but broadly speaking, I get to love what I do. So it's super, super important that we are measuring what matters and not what is easy to measure. I don't care if people enjoyed the training. NPS, no one recommends workplace learning to their friends and family or peers and colleagues. That's not how the world works. If someone gets 10 minutes off work, they're having a cup of tea and a biscuit and a chat about what was on the telly, not about how fantastic this training course was last week. We've got to think about what matters. What matters is, of course, what was taken away. Is it converting into real world activity? Not training activity, real world activity. Because actually, if someone gets 80% in a quiz, that's fantastic. But does that mean they can do their job? Did they pass your quiz, but then when that exact scenario came up in the real world, get it wrong? If so, that quiz is pointless. That 80% is worthless if it doesn't translate to workplace activity. And so we should be focusing our measurement, our efforts, our intent at where are the points of conversion. If this training is successful, not what will people know, not what will people be able to do, what will line managers see? Because if line managers can see it and observe it, then we can measure it and we can prove it. Not in an abstract fashion, but in a, this person did this at this time on this day. That is the gold standard of training impact. They were doing it this way, they were trained, and afterwards I saw them do it that way. That is the strongest correlation you are going to see in the training world. And that's a problem when we focus so heavily on, well, the LMS has told us. The LMS can only tell us about training activity. The LMS tells us nothing about learning. It tells us about activity. Someone did this training. Someone scored this in a quiz. Someone uploaded this form of material, let's say, I'll say an essay they wrote, probably not doing many essays these days, but proof of work done, whatever it might be. It can only record activity data. We must go out into the real world to collect performance data. That means working with line managers and senior leaders. It means working with peers. It means getting out there ourselves and seeing people do the job. We are far too reluctant to get out into the field and gather that data firsthand. That is the data we should be holding up in our review stage, not spreadsheets coming out of the back of an LMS, not what SCORM files can give us. That data is great at telling us, was this course well designed? It is not great at telling us, was the course successful? A 100% completion rate means yes, that course is functional. You have done the minimum to get people to actually be able to get through your training. It tells you nothing about the impact it may or may not have had beyond the LMS. So we've got to focus in that review stage. We've got to focus on real world impacts and not be sidetracked by the kind of activity metrics. This really is what mixed method data and observation is all about. And it doesn't just have to be line managers. It doesn't just have to be us getting into the field. That's one form of observation. We also can gather systems data that is important and meaningful, systems data that comes from the world of product and marketing. Because when I worked as a product manager for a while, when I tracked users across our platform, I wasn't just looking at, okay, so what page did they go to? I was looking at them use systems to say, okay, so this is where they ended up going. How long did it take them to get there? This is what they were trying to do. Where did they click? How long did it take them? What did they input? We need to look at that kind of data, that level of detail. There are loads of products out there, mainly aimed at marketing and product management teams, but there's no reason we can't use the same tools that they do that are out there that look at user journey tracking. User journey tracking is like automated observation. And then we do still need users. We do still need opinion and reaction, but what we don't need is another Google survey. One, no one wants to fill them out. When they do eventually fill them out, it's because HR sent them a chaser email saying you have to fill it out. And then the data is just not very good. Also, off the back of surveys, we can't ask follow-up questions. We can't dig deeper. We get what they choose to give us, or we only get the answers to the questions we thought to ask. Or worse of all, we have a standard set of questions that we always send out, because apparently all our training is exactly the same, and so can be assessed against the same 3 or 4 questions. We have to challenge ourselves to do better. We have to gather meaningful data. That means conversations. It means roundtables. It means interviews. It means discussion panels. It means lunch and learns. It means casual conversations with people in the business outside of the L&D function. We have to be visible and approachable and engaged, and we always have to be recording what people say. Not because we want to catch them out, but because we want to understand what the workplace is doing. We want to understand where we're having an impact, where we never thought we were having an impact or didn't intend to have an impact. So I've talked about data a lot, and there are really 3 areas of data literacy that you are all going to need if you're going to be able to report to the business well. Validity and reliability is absolutely fundamental. Whether you're trying to prove or measure a correlation, or whether or not you're in the kind of dream world of the future where perhaps we can get to a causal link, you need to know that your data is valid and reliable. This is why we need to understand the data that we're looking at. We need to say, hey, that's a survey. That data is valid. It's come from within the business. Everyone who filled out this survey went through the training. Great, it passes the validity check. Is it reliable? Well, it's opinion-based. It's what the user thinks. The user claims they have made the following changes in their behavior. Do we have an observation to back that up? If we don't, we must view it as an unreliable data source, because it's someone saying something about themselves. There is no third-party proof, no observation, no system report. Then we must always have a clear methodology to combat bias. It is not enough to simply say, get all the data. What data are we collecting? Why? How will we collect it? How will we analyze it? What systems will we use? What processes will we use? How will we check that our analysis is accurate? And again, it's not enough for us to know. We must document it, and we must share that methodology publicly so that anyone who sees a report from you, from your team, from the L&D function itself, understands the methodology that you use to ensure that your reporting is accurate and as free of bias as is possible, or can declare its biases. And finally, and we're kind of drifting back into a maths lesson, mean, median, and deviation. Basically, you need to have a really good working understanding of averages. Because again, when dealing with organizational change, you are going to have to talk in terms of average. But as many of you will know, there are many types of average. So not to give people more maths homework, I know we already did correlation and causation and regression analysis, but get really comfortable with these basic principles. Most of you will read them and go, oh yeah, I've learned this before, that's fine. But if you haven't, again, don't worry about it. They are foundational. They are easy to get your head around if you just put a little bit of time into it. And once you do, you will be more confident in your ability to talk about data and numbers and change at scale. Mean, median, deviation. Really important to be able to use data meaningfully. The last thing then, and these are some sort of rapid fire top tips now, I guess, for the end before I open things up for just a totally open Q&A and you can ask anything you want. Report insights, not data. I get very tired of seeing CEOs and CLOs and other senior leaders being sent dashboards with bar graphs and pie charts and basically just numbers. These things are not helpful. These things are not useful. You need to consider that at that level, there is a reason reports come with executive summaries. One side of A4 that says, hey, in this 200-page report, here's the 3 things that actually matter. If you want to read the detail, go for it. But you don't have to, because we know your time is valuable. We say the opposite. We say, hey, we do not value your time at all. Here's the data. Figure out what it means. That's madness. At a time when, as an industry, we are under huge pressure to demonstrate value, we should be doing everything we can to offload that analysis to ourselves. We should be saying, hey, look, if you want the data, it's available here, but let me tell you what you need to know. We found that because of this training, or not because of, this training correlates to a 10% increase in sales, but does not appear to have any measurable impact on sickness, whatever your training might focus on. Now, for most people, they might go, okay, so what do the numbers look like? Oh, the numbers are there on page 4. Or the numbers, just click that link and it takes you away to a graph or whatever it might be. But don't just give them the numbers. Always report the insight. Tell them what's important, what happened, why it matters, what you recommend next. That is the structure for reporting data back to the organization when it comes to learning effectiveness. What did we do? What's the pattern? Why does this matter? What next? Always a what next. Because again, it's not their job to know that, it's yours. There's been a 10% increase in sales, but no change in sickness. Okay, well, was the change in sickness the most important thing? Actually, it was pretty high up on the list. Okay, so how do we change this? How do we now maintain that 10% increase in sales, maybe even grow it further, but decrease sickness? Have a recommendation for them to say yes or no, or how about this too. Don't go to them with data and expect them to do your job. Use generative AI data analysis tools. Now, this does not mean buy an expensive new thing. If you are a bit of a data person and you use a platform like R or Tableau, then you will have already seen a lot of the new Gen AI tools coming in to speed up this analysis and mean you have to do less work. If you are not a data person, use Copilot or ChatGPT or Claude. They all now actually do a fantastic job of data analysis around things like mean, median, deviation, even correlative checks. They are all capable of doing full regression analysis for you. All you need to do is get the data and make sure that using any one of those tools is permitted within your organization's data privacy policies. Always got to be careful to include this now. Do not just put all your company data into ChatGPT unless your company has okayed that. Chances are your company has some kind of internal Gen AI tool, if you have one at all. If your company doesn't, and they're saying, hey, how could we be using AI? My personal view is that this is where you start with AI, not content creation. We can all create content. We've been creating content for years, whether it's training courses, e-learnings, videos, podcasts, whatever. We don't need more content. We need better content. And we create better content by better measuring what works and what doesn't. So if your organization is asking the question, how do we utilize generative AI? How do we utilize these new exciting technologies? Be the person to say data. Let's get a better understanding of what's going on in our business. Let's get it quickly. Let's get it accurately. Do check for accuracy. Gen AI is not a replacement for all data analysis, but it can support you in doing it quickly, especially while you're getting started. That can really help you prove value in a short time frame. And finally, remember behavioral analytics. Not everything is going to have a number. Quantitative data is reassuring. Numbers feel more accurate, easier to work with. But we ultimately serve and support human beings, and not all human activity can be defined as a number. If you are training soft skills, if you are coaching, if you are running a mentoring program, you are not going to get a neat number. You're going to have to engage in behavior analytics. You're going to have to look for themes. You're going to have to look for things that keep coming up in conversation. And that's okay. That data is just as valid and just as accurate as any number on a spreadsheet. Quantitative data should always be used, in fact, to underpin your qualitative numbers-based data. Much like evidence-informed practice right at the start, it's never one, it's always a combination of everything. Whether you're designing training, measuring training, or doing your food shop, you don't just do one thing and nothing else. It's a variety of things that all come together to form a robust solution. And so we finish where we started. What will you report? Will you focus on activity and what's being done, or will you think about impact and what people are doing in the workplace? Will you talk about learning and transfer, or will you talk about performance? Will it be about task completion? Will it be about decision competence? Will it be about value to the organization? And will your data be self-reported, or will it be observable to external sources like line managers and yourself and tracking systems? These are the questions we need to be asking ourselves today as learning and development professionals, not just to prove our value now, but to ensure we remain valuable in the decade ahead that I promise you, is going to be for the people who embrace the use of data-informed decision-making, those who utilize this information to elevate their own practice and to elevate everyone within the organizations that they work with and within. So as I said, I think we've got 15 minutes for Q&A now. So if you've got a question, it could be about anything I've spoken about, or if you have any kind of measurement and metrics and training question, I am more than happy to, if I don't have an answer, I will tell you that I don't have an answer. I'll be entirely honest with you. But I'm more than happy to have a chat about anything. I love that. Biggest takeaway, quiz scores are pointless if you can't get the answer right in a real situation. Yeah. And this is an example of something that, I can say that now and it sounds fairly obvious. And yet as an industry, for the first, 8 years of my career, I was super pleased when people were passing my quizzes. Because that was what I was taught was the measurement of success. So if nothing else changes, I think that's fantastic. And I think the idea of being a secret shopper yourself is amazing. And I would add to that, there's another value that you might potentially gain. When we better understand the working environment, we start to spot things that we can fix before someone says, hey, should we get training to make something for that? When we go into the working environment and we say, this all seems a little bit inefficient. Why do we work in this way? Why do you work? You're not following the process, but our customers seem to love you. That's a problem because that shouldn't be happening. Not that they're doing something wrong, but that clearly our process is having an impact here. How can we change it? How can we train more people to be like our top performers? Better observation and better insight into the working world that our end users operate in is always valuable. Give the presentations to be done. I'm the person that always uses more self-reported data. I can now make a change and be more practical. Absolutely. Do you know what? Our industry has run on self-reported data for a very, very long time. We love a survey. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying never run another survey. What I am saying is make sure you understand what that data is. And yeah, you're exactly right. Think about how you can practically add to that. How can you expand it? How can you go and get data that you know is really, really strong, really, really valid and indicative of behavior as opposed to just intent? I always want to be clear about that because I would hate people to never run another survey. It's impractical to completely ditch them. But no, anything you can do to get beyond that, I think is incredibly, incredibly valuable. Not sure if anyone else has got anything they would like to ask or discuss. In which case, I think we might. Michelle, I honestly have no idea about the recording. Is anyone able to answer Michelle's question about getting the recording?
Sure, Tom.
Fantastic.
What for the recordings? All the recordings will be posted soon on GSDC's official platform. So stay tuned. Thank you. And
Fantastic.
meanwhile, if you get more questions, I can see one question that we have got across live. This question is
Hmm?
from Ritika. Could you share an example where data from learning analytics directly improved course design or impact?
Yeah, sure. So recently I was working on, I shan't talk about the content itself. I was working on a fairly complex situation. It was human soft skills training. We've been working on it for a fair few months with the organization. The core problem is there were too many stakeholders involved, too many senior leaders who felt they needed to be there, not really delivering a lot of value, but very much being involved. We've probably all been there. Um, what we decided to do, because it was taking so long to get anything out the door, was operate on like an agile software development model, create an absolute MVP or minimum viable product and get it launched. Launch it with the first 30 people who were supposed to be the first cohort going through it. And then, yes, ask them for their feedback. Yes, sort of test out different ideas and different ways of doing it that we weren't quite sure about yet. But more importantly, we asked their line managers to monitor them when they went back into the workplace. And very deliberately, we ensured that those 30 people all came from different teams within the organization. So they weren't going to go back and self reinforce with each other. They were going to go back into an environment where no one else had experienced what they had experienced. Their line managers weren't shown the program, but they were told, we're expecting to see big changes. Because this was a total change in how we deal with customers, how we approach the workplace. So we had line managers ready to observe these changes. And not a single one of them saw those changes. Not one. What that meant for us was something is fundamentally missing. And therefore, we could pull everyone back in and say, okay, so unbeknownst to you, we know nothing has changed. So let's not pretend that there's an intent to make a change. Let's not pretend you took something away. What did we get wrong? And they told us everything that was wrong with the program. They told us why it didn't matter to them. They told us why it was boring. They told us why they felt some of it was incorrect. And yet, at the end of the program, when we asked them, hey, how did you? Brilliant. I'm going to do loads of stuff. The survey results were phenomenal. Most popular program the company had ever run. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Nothing happened. And when we told them we knew nothing had happened, they were perfectly willing to tell us this is everything that's wrong with the program. So then we made some changes. Not all the changes. Some of them we felt weren't necessarily the right change to make. You have to, again, be informed, not led. We changed things like certain modalities. We had created, because one of the people involved was very passionate about video, and they pointed out to us the fact that the internet in the office was awful. Watching video was almost impossible because of the bandwidth requirements. So we took the audio from these conversational videos and turned them into a podcast instead. Immediately, small changes like that that took maybe 2 days to convert all these videos into podcasts. Immediately, when we ran the second group, managers were observing some, not all, some of the changes we expected to see. This is why I refer often to observation as the gold standard of measurement. Because especially around soft skills, the way we treat each other, the ways in which we work that are not, in an SOP document, the only way we're going to see them is one human seeing it in another human's actions. The other thing that we started to see for the first time was that these new behaviors that again went out to one person per team spread. Not to everyone, but because they were being adopted straight away and they were so wildly different, and they were the right behaviors. People were seeing them, and people were not fully adopting them, but just starting to go, oh, that's worked really well for them on that sales call. I might just do that. Suddenly, we had a situation where social learning was happening without us having to organize it. That's the dream model. And what it meant was that every revision, it became more and more impactful. Now, that's actually where I stepped away from that project and let the business continue on with it. But we check in every sort of few weeks just to make sure that the next revision is sort of moving forwards. And they will continue revising that probably through the rest of this year and the first half of next year, with every single 30-person cohort leading to another revision. It will never be perfect. It will never be finished. It will continue to improve indefinitely based on line manager observation and the conversations with people who appeared for it afterwards. Hopefully that sort of meets the brief. Tom, can we take it that observation is more important and reliable than questionnaire and data collection? Not always. You do have to think about all kinds of biases in data. No data is totally unbiased because someone decided what to measure. Now, I would love to say that all line managers will give you a totally accurate picture of the world, but line managers are human beings too. And it's why we never want to take a single data point and say, hey, that's absolutely the case. We were confident that there was no change in that case because 30 line managers all said there's been no change. If 15 had said there was and 15 had said there wasn't, we would have had a really complicated situation. It would have taken a lot more investigation. If 10 had said yes and 20 had said no, we probably have a slightly clearer situation, but there's still something going on. That was quite a simple case because it was just unanimous. It allows us to take quite quick action. But I would argue that observation is more likely to be useful than surveys because you can have a conversation around observation. Did this happen or did it not happen? Now, if you just ask people to observe generally, how's someone performing? That's too broad. So the kind of trick with great observation is to have specific questions. And I would even go so far as to train line managers in observation. If the organization is on board with that, train them in how to observe accurately and without bias, or with minimal bias, or understanding the bias they may have. Now, that won't always work. There are, as we will all know, sometimes people choose bias. It's deliberate, it's conscious, it's not accidental. I can't fix that, basically. But it's the reason we never take any single point of data. I will never believe that any one data point is 100% true, unbiased, and reliable. It's all about the amalgamated data. Would you have an example of how measuring data during the design stage? Oh, we've had that one. I was just talking about that. Great explanation. Yeah, I think the qualitative and quantitative results are important. Absolutely. So yeah, that example or that work only actually works because of the qualitative and quantitative data that go into it. Those skills that we decided, those human skills that the business decided needed to be pushed out in the first place, came off the back of a lot of data analysis. They'd gone back through like the last 2 years sales data and not looked at the customers who they did sell to, but they had meticulously gone through the data of every sale they lost. Why did they lose it? What happened in the call recordings? What was said and what wasn't said? What did the customer say or not say? How did the customer sound? It was a huge undertaking. But without that, we would never have known what to train in the first place. Now, the how to train it became that kind of MVP rapid iteration. But what to train in the first place had to be led, or at least informed, by that previous failure data, really, not even success data. And I think that pretty much brings us to the end of our time together. Thank you for your questions. It's been absolutely delightful to chat with you. If any of you do have any more, I am always happy to chat to anyone about anything L&D related. So you can reach out to me at any time on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to answer your questions further. Oh, thank you. And that's in the chat. That was if I was more organized, I would put that in the chat myself, but I'm not. So, but no, do reach out anytime.
Yeah, I was about to say that yes, I've shared your LinkedIn profile link in the chat box. If our participants have further questions for you, they can definitely reach out to you for the help. And thank you very much, Tom, again for a very insightful and very interactive session. And thank you very much for answering all the questions wonderfully. We are definitely getting back to you for future events that we conduct
Oh.
in GSDC for sure. Thank you so much for your time again. And before I move forward with the session, I would like to hear final thoughts from you for all our participants today.
The biggest thing for me, and as I said it a few times, do not, whether it's this session or any other session at this event or any change you're thinking of making right now, do not put the pressure and risk on yourself of trying to go from 0 to 100, from where you are today to where you perceive perfection to be. First of all, it won't be perfect. Second of all, it's a really high risk way of working. Instead, ask yourself after this session, what is the smallest thing I can do to improve my practice tomorrow? Then ask the same question again. Keep doing that. It's small incremental change that we can sustain over time that make us better at what we do, not the attempted big jumps that we inevitably sort of fall over from afterwards.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing such a beautiful thoughts with all our participants today, and thank you very much for amazing session again. We are really grateful to have you joined us for today's session. Thank you so much, Tom. So yes, I do have some great announcement for all of you. So this is regarding the certification that I have been announcing since this session started. So you can use this promo code to opt out this certified instructional design certificate, and you can use this promo code which is instructpro20 to get amazing discount which is 20% off on this certification. And this certification is come along with the lifetime validation. You'll get a lot of learning resources, case studies, e-learning, book of knowledge. These certifications are lifelong learning which gives you learning flexibility, and you'll be getting chance to connect with our training partner channel, and you'll be getting a lot of opportunity to work on the capstone project. That is something real-time AI simulation practice. So do grab this opportunity as this offer is only valid for a certain period of time, probably ending this weekend. So do grab this opportunity. I've already shared all the offer details in the chat box. If you scroll up little bit, you'll find all the links along with the promo code. Um, I will share it again post this announcement if you want. And this is regarding the utility tool. The GSDC has introduced this tool earlier. How this tool will help you? It will help you to build your personal brand. It will help you to improve your LinkedIn profile score, your AI skill score. So this is very useful and this is very amazing. So I recommend each of you to use this tool, use this promo code August100 to get an amazing discount which is 100% off, of course, and this is only for our webinar attendees. So do grab this opportunity. You'll find this link in the chat box. I'll share it again. And let me make this announcement. Tomorrow we'll be having a last session of this webinar series. So do not miss it, as we'll be having Heather Brown with us. And she'll be presenting the topic that is AI as a design partner, scaling learning effectiveness without losing the human touch. So do not miss this. Join us on 10th October 2025 with the same time slot, 10:30 a.m. Central, 11:30 p.m. Singapore time. And we are running this another webinar series on generative AI in healthcare. We have amazing panel of experts, healthcare experts, aligned for this entire webinar series. So the time slot is 8:30 a.m. Central and 9:30 p.m. Singapore time. So please do join us, or you can recommend your friend, your colleague who are into this professional. It will definitely help them. Also, we are running this AI tool challenge where speakers are explaining and giving a demo on AI tool for 30 minutes with 5 to 10 minutes of Q&A. We are having amazing session. We already done 33 sessions previously and it was amazing experience. We got a lot of feedback from the participants and hence we are planning to extend it till 100 days. So we'll be updating you all with the new dates and the time slot very soon. And we do have these three winners. Let's congratulate to them. They have ranked top at our leaderboard by referring maximum people to our session. So yes, we'll be announcing all the final winners tomorrow as we'll be ending this webinar series tomorrow. So yes, we'll be getting back to them for the rewards. And in case if you want to be speaker for our upcoming event as a featured global speaker, you can definitely reach out to us as we'll be having global platforms like Learning Capsule, webinars, and the podcast. Do connect with us over the LinkedIn, scan this QR, connect with us over the LinkedIn, and check our website www.gsdcouncil.org to check more information regarding the certifications that I've mentioned earlier. Also, you can check all the offerings that GSDC has for all of you. Connect with us over the WhatsApp group to get daily update on event, webinar, boot camps, the sessions like we do conduct knowledgeable sessions. So you'll be getting a daily update on those. And please do share your reviews on the Trustpilot. You will find the link in the chat box. And thank you everyone for supporting us throughout the session. We already done with 4 sessions very successfully. And it was a very, really very insightful sessions we had earlier with amazing panel of speaker that we had. And please do join us for tomorrow's session. And then we'll be closing this webinar series. Thank you everyone. Until then, keep learning and take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, Tom.